Okay. I'm Ansley, and I'm in the Germain Robin tasting room. What I want to talk about today is something we just brought in, which is Pisco. What is Pisco? It is brandy made in the Andean region of South America. And this is from Peru. In Peru, there's some special rules about it. They regard it as a national treasure. There are other things, there's certain pottery that they have, certain jewelry, the llama, you know, a certain kind of fruit. And they passed laws that said you can only make Pisco one way, which is the old-fashioned way. You have to use certain specified grapes. You have to do a single distillation in a pot still. It has to come off at the proof you're going to bottle it in, because you're not allowed to add water to it afterwards, and you have to let it sit around for about 3 months, actually exactly 3 months before you're allowed to sell it. And these folks, in fact, let it sit for 6 because it gets a lot better. But and it's brandy, okay? It's made from grapes. We know brandy, so I was really impressed when I got sent this stuff. Somebody emailed me and said, "Hey, do you want to carry it?" And it looked right, so we got some samples and you start tasting it. And you know, I recognize 2 things. One is the woman who runs the still really knows what she's doing. It's about making your cuts at exactly the right place. So it's incredibly clean. And the other is that I recognize a quality we have in the Germain Robin brandies, which was this stuff is being grown where it gets hot during the day and cool at night. And that's what this is. It's sort of like desert environment, very low rainfall. They irrigate with snow melt out of the Andes. And when you do that, you get this you get nicely intense flavor, but it's high acid because it cools off at night. It preserves the acid so that you get this structure in the brandy. The flavors are clean, they're distinct, and so forth. All right, so, and this is Peruvian Pisco. The 3 principals are all women, which kind of shows up in you know, women, a lot of women can be careful about things without being anal about them, so that, you know, they sort of like a little more in touch with the product. And this is beautiful stuff. Okay, so what do we got? Pisco, I'm going to want the other bottle first, okay. Pisco Quebranta. Quebranta is a varietal of grape, and it's a cross between 2 grapes that were brought over, you know, in the 1500s. From Spain by the conquistadores, and it's a particular specialty of Pisco because they're not very aromatic. They call them non-aromatic grapes, and you know, you're so used to like getting everything out of brandy by putting it under your nose. I mean, I actually, when I'm drinking our stuff, I spend more time smelling it than I do, you know, putting it in my mouth. But so it's non-aromatic. And that doesn't mean there's no aroma. It just hasn't got that big, rich, you know, hit that you get off of a good brandy or a good cognac. It's a little more direct. It's a little intense, but it's incredibly elegant. I mean, this is really beautifully made, and you know, you just get this. You get all this structure and definition. Because dry climate grapes that have to survive on some sort of like minimal irrigation develop all this, I don't know what it's gonna, I don't know what the right word for it is. There's something interior in that grape that gives the product intensity, and this has it in spades. And it's got a beautiful mouthfeel and a very nice finish. Long, clean, pure, some of my favorite words, balanced, right? Acholado. Okay, the Acholado is a blend of a couple of different grapes, Italia, and I forget what the other one is, and the Quebranta. Okay. So, and the Italia is actually a grape that was brought in fairly recently. It was developed in the early 1900s in Italy as a table grape, but it does very well here. And you know, table grapes have all this kind of like forward fruit, and if they're grown well and distilled well, they make beautiful brandies. And Muscat, which I'm very favorite of, is a table grape, and originally. And what I should say about these guys is that their vineyard is right next to the distillery. They take care of their own grapes, they raise their own grapes, they crush their own grapes, and when they crush them, they tread them, which gives you a lot more unevenness in the crush when you're fermenting, because and that's what yeast like. They like nooks and crannies, so you get this very complete fermentation. So it's got these beautiful and then somewhat soft aromatics. And you can taste the Quebranta, okay? It's got that same kind of like intense elegance, but then it's married with this kind of like roundness and fruitiness from the Italian table grape. This is a very nice product. If we were making it, it would sell for a lot more. But this is good stuff. So, but what you're going to have to do is divorce yourself from what you expect when you put a brandy under your nose, right? And recognize this for what it is, which is a craft product, all handmade, but from a completely different cultural background than the one we got, which derived from France with, Californian wine making techniques mixed in. This is very well made. And